where's the airport, where's Dharamsala, just for reading books. And it was, we actually went there 100 times, right? Explored everywhere. Which of the two guides you will seek the help from? Second one, right? Because the person's experience is not just bookish knowledge, it's the experience. So therefore, it should be the reliable guide, experienced one, the one who has transformed into the, how transformed? Prince Siddhartha, he was when a prince, young prince in the palace, he was an ordinary prince. Okay, maybe, you know, he is, of course, he was gifted with the compassion. Since childhood, he displayed such extraordinary compassion towards even the servants, the maids, the helpers, everyone else, the weaker ones. And then intelligence, he was gifted, born with tremendous intelligence. So this is, you know, the Prince Siddhartha. And then from there, seeing the challenges in the palace. And how many of you have read the biography of Prince Siddhartha? Biography of Buddha Shakyamuni. Have you read the biography? What did you learn? He met with the three scenes, right? Sick person, old age person, dead, and the wanderer, monastic, right? So it is not as simple story like this. The reality is that he was born in the palace. In the palace, he would see so much of injustices in the palace, right? Because they were in the palace, they are the princess and the princesses, right? And these, how they abuse others. He would see all these things. And then in the palace, in the corner, there are the prisons, how the prisoners were so badly treated. He was seeing all these things. It's not just a simple story, you know. So seeing all these things, and then because of, in those days, wars amongst the kingdoms were so often, so prevalent, and seeing so many people lose their lives. So he realized that simply by remaining as a prince will not solve these problems. I must look for a permanent solution. Permanent solution. So this is how he, through the path that he followed, he then transformed from the ordinary prince to a highly evolved, experienced guide to liberation. So this is known as the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, which means that somebody who has experienced the whole path, transformed. Ordinary person transformed into the reliable guide, the enlightened one. How did he become that? Through four steps. Motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. Initially, he was motivated by the altruism, compassion. Incredible compassion, altruism to benefit the beings. One. With this altruism, what did he do? What did he do, tell me? Right? So why he left? Out of compassion. He wanted to do something to benefit all beings. So this compassion led him to leave the palace. He realized that by leaving the palace, he would become like his own father, right? Who could not do anything to the whole universe. So he left. He left to do what? Anyone? Huh? To study, to explore. How? What is that solution? What is that solution through which all beings can be benefited? Who is looking for the solution? Once he gets the solution, he can think of teaching the solution to others. So this made him the teacher. The teacher to teach the solution to all the problems, number two. So to teach this, first he has to experiment it on himself, right? First he has to experiment it. Once he found a path, which he thinks that this is the path, which is the ultimate solution to all the problems, first you have to see whether it works to remove all the problems. So he experimented it on himself. The study of emptiness, which we're going to do for this today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, 3 days. So that is like the gist of what the Buddha Shakyamuni discovered, which he realized that this is to be taught to the beings if I really want the beings to be liberated from suffering. So this made him the teacher to teach this wisdom of emptiness to liberate all beings from suffering. So to teach this, he has to experience this himself. He has to test it on himself. He tested it, he experimented it, and he experienced the next Sugadahood. Sugada meaning the one gone to bliss, the bliss of purity, bliss of perfection, bliss of liberation, the bliss of liberation, the Sugada, right? Sukh is the bliss, Gata is the gone, the one gone to the bliss of the perfection. the bliss of the liberation. Okay, total liberation from all fears of life. Bliss. So once he experienced this, then he went to go to protect the beings. That made him the protector. Number 4, protector. So this is how this Prince Siddhartha, he started his journey, started with the altruism, then the teacher, then the Sugata, then the protector. So this being this journey, we looking at his biography, we feel so confident, we can become so confident. I see that in this world there's one person who actually went through this journey and is full experience, and who is full experience in what I am seeking. What am I seeking? I'm seeking 100% happiness. I'm shunning 100% suffering. How many of you agree with this? How many of you, if possible, how many of you seek 100% happiness, and how many of you shun 100% suffering? Who are these people, Buddhists or non-Buddhists? Who are these people who seek 100% happiness and who wants to shun 100% suffering? Who are these people? Everybody, right? So if this is who you are, then we need to seek the help of a very reliable guide, right? Okay, so with this as a basic framework, tell me, all of these things, for us, what is so relevant now? The 4 points are given: altruism, teacher of the wisdom of emptiness, Sugata, experiencing the bliss of the purity, experience the bliss of the liberation, and finally, protecting the beings. All the 4. For us, what is the relevance? Which of the 4 is of immediate relevance to us? Anyone? Altruism. Number 2 is to teach the wisdom of emptiness. Then number 3 is to teach the wisdom of emptiness, meaning that we have to learn what is wisdom of emptiness. The wisdom of, let's say, wisdom of emptiness. Number 1 is the compassion. Unconditional compassion to benefit all beings. With this, then the wisdom of emptiness to be taught. Then number 3 is the experience of the bliss of the liberation yourself, and then the skill to protect the beings. Also 4, what is most immediate to us? Wisdom of emptiness. Anyone else?
Experience and the skill to teach.
Experience to teach. Compassion. No one is left. No one is left. So somebody say the last one, and then we all have the 4. Okay, so one of these should be correct. Right? Okay, so the point is that immediate thing that we need is, of course, the altruism, the driving force, altruism, and also the wisdom of emptiness. Now, if you work on altruism, how the Buddha Shakyamuni, Prince Siddhartha, how he started is through the altruism, and if you wait till that level of the altruism to come in us, it may take us so long. So therefore, for us, the Prince Siddhartha, he was like the charioteer, right? Because he did not have like another Prince Siddhartha before him. So he had to go through all these things by himself. For us, it's ready-made for us. So therefore, we can go through these 2 things both simultaneously: compassion and the wisdom. In other words, okay, tell me, once more, tell me, what is your main goal? What is the main goal of what are the main goals of your life? Huh? The first 2. What are the 2?
Both the first and the second.
First and second. What I'm saying is, don't look at this, just tell me. Say you, as somebody, right? Somebody who has no exposure to any religion, no exposure to any philosophy. If somebody tells you, oh, what is your goal in your life? What will you say? To be happy, to be free. Anyone else? To be more precise? Huh? To help others. Very good.
To understand the truth.
Who said it? To understand the truth. To understand the truth. Okay, anyone else?
Less dependent on external factors.
Okay, less dependent. Yes. has less dependent external factors. Very good.
Not to harm others.
Not to harm others. Very good. Anyone else?
Love. Generate love.
To generate the love, feel of closeness, feel of love and affection towards others. Very good. Okay, so the thing is that when we study these things, don't attend it like a university lecture. University lecture, particularly a big hall, like say in the Cambridge University, the system is very different. All the physics students will have their class, all the physics students of first year college, from everywhere, from all the colleges in Cambridge, they will all have lesson in one lecture in one hall, like 300 students. So therefore, the students will not get a chance to have the questions. So it is you have to listen, right? This should not be happening here. The point is that whatever we are learning, make sure that your mind is actively trying to correlate what is being said and what is happening within me. Just correlate to see if there is any relevance. If you don't see any relevance, don't say that there's no relevance. I don't see relevance. I don't see relevance, and there's no relevance. There's a big difference, right? Okay, note down those points, and then on that basis you study more. You're getting this is so important. Finally, you should also take part. If you take part in this, then your understanding of emptiness, what we are studying, will be of maximum. You will get the maximum. Whereas if you don't take part in this, then the benefit will be much less. You will get much less, in other words. Okay. So the point is that now that we have a ready-made, right? Prince Siddhartha already came, and he already showed the example. And looking at this, our job is just first to learn what he did, and then see whether it makes sense to us. Don't follow blindly. Don't follow blindly. This is so important. Just see whether it makes sense to me, right? Okay. So what we want is I'm giving you the summary. I'm giving you the formula, like E equals MC square. The formula, right? So the final formula is, what we want is maximum happiness. You agree with me or not? What we dislike is all the fears. You agree with me or not? If I'm able to get rid of all the fears, if I'm get the maximum happiness, that is my job done of the life, right? Okay. How can that be possible? Whether or not this is possible, the answer is 100% yes. If yes, how is it possible? This next question. So for that, don't forget the mantra which we recited. Ye dharma hetu prabhava. All the phenomena arise from their causes. Miseries which we dislike, they arise from their causes. Cut the cause of miseries. Happiness that we seek, maximum happiness that we seek, is also coming from their causes. Embrace all these causes of the happiness. You're getting it? What are the causes of happiness? There could be millions and trillions. And what are the causes of miseries? There could be millions and trillions. Don't worry, it's very easy. Right? The causes of the suffering, however millions and trillions they are, they all boil down to the ignorance. All the causes of miseries, however multitudes of miseries they are in this universe that we experience. For example, say you have difficulty with dealing with your children. You have difficulty with dealing with your parents. You have difficulty dealing with your husband, wife, and you have difficulty dealing with your colleagues at workplace, and then your health issues, then your bills to pay for the electricity, and then for what do you call it? The municipality, and then what's that? For the health insurance, right? All the insurances, you have to pay bills, right? Okay, a tax and so forth. So the point is that all the problems that we have, that we go through, right? All these problems somehow they're rooted to the ignorance. The moment the ignorance is cut, all these problems will come to an end. It doesn't mean that when the ignorance is cut, then you will not have to pay bill. This is not the point. Right? Having to pay the bill and dealing with the people and so forth, problems are bound to be there. Problems there are two: physical problems and the mental problems. You getting it? Don't forget it. Problems there too. Be very realistic. This is my most important message. Be very realistic. Right? It doesn't mean that when you realize emptiness, then everybody will start smiling at you. That's not true. Even the Buddha, having become the fully enlightened one, still people started to have jealousy towards him, competition with him, all these problems over there. But the problems there too. Problems there too, right? Physical problem, mental problem too. What you are really bothered by is not the physical, it's by the mental. Physical problem, you first have to, in most cases, you first have the physical problem. That physical problem is transmitted to the mental, and the mental feels the agitation. You're getting it? Okay, if you don't believe, let me share with you one exercise. Then you realize, and then you see, you agree with me or not. Say, you are just meditating emptiness after the retreat. After 3 days retreat, right? Wow, emptiness is amazing, right? And you meditate on it. And then, while you reflect on it, everything's like a dream. Somebody from behind hits you like this. Somebody from behind hits you like this, right? Tell me, what is your response? This is also empty? Or you'll be very happy? Or you'll be very agitated? What is going to be your response? Huh? What is going to be your response? Anyone? Agitated? Anger? Okay. What you will do in reality is, with a very serious face, you will look at the person. Right? First you look at the person. Because it is not like the dislocating your hand. It's not that strong. Like this. If it is your friend, very close friend who you lost the last 20 years, right? Because of some reasons, right? Natural disaster like this, loss, and you always miss. Every day you pray that I meet with him, I meet with her, I meet with him, I meet with her. And today, right? And there's this person, they're your friend. How dare you hit me like this? Oh wow, he's so happy. This is the gesture of friendship. Whereas, if this is somebody who did your neighbor, who always threw garbage next to your door, right? You look at him, then this is another friendship. It's agitation. Agitation starts. With the first one, it's the same feeling, same force, but it gives you such a joy in you. In the second case, it gives you such an irritation, right? Okay, which do you want, the first or second? First and second? The first. The first is not because of this, it's because of the person, right? This hit is the same. This is the same force, right? So this force does not really affect you as a person. Agitation is not created by this. It's created by this, competition by who the other person is. You getting it? You're thinking. So the point is that external factors per se cannot create irritation in us. You getting it? Say, whereas if somebody hits me so forcefully to dislocate my shoulder, of course it affects me physically. But mentally, I become irritated or not, it is within me, it's in my hand. Right? If you go to the extent of your shoulder be dislocated, 99% of the people, you'll feel angry. Right? Acutely angry. But if your mind is under control, this anger will not come. This dislocation is there, but the anger is an additional problem. Buy one, get one free. Right? This dislocation is one problem. Out of that, irritation is free. Right? Agitation, irritation. With this, then whole night you will not have sleep. You will not eat food. Right? And then you will have insomnia problem coming. Then you will end up in hospital. Right? So the problem is that this mental agitation, mental problem is all because of something else, another factor. It's not just the external factor. It's what is known as the ignorance. In other words, if you don't want the fears of life, all fears of life, you have to know the final cause. ultimate cause is the ignorance. Which ignorance? We have to identify this and find the cause is the ignorance. Sever the ignorance, all miseries will come to an end automatically. All fears of life will come to an end automatically. 1. Number 2, if you want maximum happiness, infinite happiness, the final formula is embrace others unconditionally. Embrace others with love, with unconditional love. This will guarantee you 100% happiness. 2 things, right? So, this ignorance, what's the opposite of ignorance? Wisdom. Knowing what ignorance is, then you will know what the wisdom to adopt. Okay, tell me. Okay, wow, this beautiful flower. Okay, this flower came from where? From here? Then? Okay, from the south. Okay. Okay, there's a beautiful chocolate there. Okay, there's a beautiful chocolate, Swiss chocolate. Is it ignorance or wisdom? There's a beautiful chocolate, Swiss chocolate there. Ignorance or wisdom? Ignorance. Oh, there's a beautiful flower. Ignorance, wisdom? Oh, this is also ignorance. Okay, tell me. There's a beautiful flower. Is it ignorance or wisdom? Okay, those who said ignorance, maybe because that it doesn't seem beautiful to that person. Right? Okay, so this is a flower, this is wisdom. This is a chocolate, this is ignorance. You're getting it? Now the point is, it is not just sufficient for us to have any wisdom. Wisdom must be relevant, wisdom which is relevant to eradicating your fears. Okay, say, let me give an example. Say I come to the Kippur's Yevim for the first time, let's say, right? And I show a tinge of fear. I show a tinge of fear, right? Okay. And those of you who are from the Dorji retreat, you know what fear I have. Those of you who are coming new, right? Oh, poor guy, there's a fear in him. Hey, Dorji, have no fear, because this place is the tiger-free zone. There's no tiger, right? Don't have fear. Okay, is this true or not? This place is free of tiger. Yes, no?
Yes.
Huh? There's a tiger? There's no tiger. Which means it's true. So there's no tiger in this hall. There's no tiger in this place. Is wisdom or is ignorance? Wisdom. But still I have the fear. Right? And then you see, okay, this does not help him. Okay, Dorji, don't worry. There's no elephant in this place. Is this wisdom or ignorance? Wisdom. Still my fear is there. So although these 2 things are wisdom, but it fails to address my problem. So if you're a wise person, what do you tell me? Oh, don't worry, there's no scorpion. Is this what you're going to say? Huh? Yes, you will ask me, right? If you're wise, you will ask me. Tell me, Dorji, what are you afraid of? Rather than saying there's no scorpion. If I say I'm not, I still have this fear, then oh, there's no snake. However much you may try to, unless you can guess it correctly, all your efforts will go in vain. So what's the best thing to do? Is ask me, what are you afraid of? Try to locate what that fear is. Try to locate why this fear is arising. Then I say that, oh, because I'm afraid of the malaria, mosquitoes. Right? It has nothing to do with elephant, it has nothing to do with tiger, snake, scorpion, nothing. So which means that if you want to get into my fear, you have to bring in the wisdom which is relevant to removing my fear. What is that wisdom which is relevant to remove my fear?
There's no malaria here.
Huh?
There's no malaria here. You say that there is no malaria here.
Okay, so say I'm afraid of mosquitoes. I did not really mention malaria. I said I'm afraid of mosquitoes, but deep inside my mind, because I'm afraid of malaria, right? So if I say that, oh, I'm afraid of mosquitoes, then what do you say? Don't worry. Particularly Kippur's Yahyan is mosquito-free zone, right? No mosquitoes allowed.
This is ignorance.
Huh?
This is ignorance.
Okay. So in your room, no mosquitoes. 100% guaranteed. We have put all the 3 different, the mosquito repellents, very powerful ones. Right? Okay, so if that is this wisdom of ignorance. This wisdom which is so relevant to what I'm seeking. You're getting it? This wisdom which, so the point is that what I'm afraid of, there is one degree of ignorance which is responsible for that fear. So this fear must be removed by removing that particular ignorance. That ignorance is, okay, till 9. Okay, so that ignorance, what that ignorance is, we will learn a little bit later. So if you get rid of this, precisely get rid of this ignorance by introducing the counter force, the wisdom, which is directly in opposition with that particular ignorance, then this ignorance will be gone rid of. Once this ignorance is gone rid of, then all my problems will be over, right? So this is how we get rid of all the fears. In other words, all fears, if you don't want any degree of fear, to get rid of fears, what should we do? Get rid of the concerned ignorance. How to get rid of the concerned ignorance? How to get rid of the concerned ignorance, that particular ignorance? Huh? By talking. Okay, now I'm not talking about my mosquito problem. I'm talking about the suffering in general, right? So all the sufferings are because of this ignorance, and to get rid of this ignorance, same. So this is so important. To get this, only if you get rid of this ignorance, only then can you expect to be free from the suffering. Otherwise, all our efforts are going to be just temporary efforts, right? For example, say I'm a little hungry, then you give me food, my hunger goes away. It's very temporary. Tomorrow also I'll become hungry, right? And then today I feel hot, and then you put on the AC. This is not the ultimate solution. And tomorrow again I can feel hot, right? Day after tomorrow I can feel hot. Next day I can feel hot. Okay. So this is all temporary. What we are looking for is looking for a permanent solution. For the permanent solution, the only thing is to get it to the ultimate cause. And the ultimate cause, what I said, is the ignorance. And your job is not believe in it. Don't forget it. Don't believe in it. What I'm saying is I'm saying the formula. So your job is to know the formula and then analyze to see whether this formula is accurate. You have to do the derivations, right? Okay, so this part is very important. Now, ignorance is responsible for all our problems. So this ignorance is like darkness. In dark, you don't see what is around, because of which fear is there. And then say, there's some alarm sound, right? Then you go to look for the shelter, right? Go look for the shelter. You thought that there's a door here, it's dark. And then you bang against the wall. So this problem. So why this problem? It's because of it being in dark. So ignorance is like darkness. With ignorance, you don't see the reality. With darkness, you don't see what is the reality around you. So ignorance is like darkness. And how to get into the darkness? If you pray, Buddha, please remove the darkness, Buddha will be very upset. Right? If you say, please Buddha, remove my darkness, I have to read books, Buddha will be very upset. What a stupid follower. Whereas instead of saying praise to the Buddha, if you look for a candle, Diorala, Neta, right? He said, can I get a candle? Yes, you can light a candle. He will be very happy. What a sensible follower, right? So therefore, if you don't want the darkness, the most sensible thing to do is introduce the light. Likewise, if you don't want the ignorance, the darkness and the ignorance, the most sensible to do is the light. Introduce the light of the wisdom. Introduce light of the wisdom. So now what happens is, what plays a very important role, what becomes so important for us is to introduce the light of the wisdom to eradicate all of the fears of our life. This is one. So number two is the maximum happiness. Even if you're fearless, it doesn't mean that you have the maximum happiness. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Even if you're fearless, it doesn't guarantee that you are you have a maximum happiness. Let me give an example. Say, if you are, oh, by the way, how many of you are from